Next news. Breaking news from the White House.
President Trump just dropped a bombshell overnight that has the entire deep state on notice. In a direct Truth Social post, he called for arresting Barack Obama, the traitor. DNI Tulsi Gabbard released a report proving Obama and his team directed a false intelligence assessment to sabotage the 2016 election. They knew it was a lie, yet sold it to the American people. This is not politics as usual. It's an attempted coup exposed at the highest levels. So what happens when the man who weaponized our intelligence agencies faces the consequences he deserves? You see, every American who voted in 2016 had their voice undermined by this operation. Families across the country watched the media push a hoax that divided communities and eroded trust in elections for years. The political class used intelligence agencies against the candidate they feared. Now with the Republicans controlling Congress and Trump back in the White House, the exposure hits a little different. It proves the system was rigged from the start against anyone who challenged the establishment. The question is no longer whether misconduct occurred, but how far up the chain it went, and whether full accountability will finally restore faith in our institutions. Now, before we dive deeper into the shocking revelation, here's a quick word from our sponsor that connects to protecting your own strength during times of national awakening. Now, you've probably seen the clip of Joe Rogan sitting with Mel Gibson, talking about people close to him who went through serious health struggles and then saw dramatic turnarounds. Rogan brings up red light-based therapies and how they impact the body at the cellular level. Gibson says it straight, the stuff works. Now, that got my attention because in my own life, I watched something very similar unfold. For a long time, my wife was dealing with constant discomfort and anxiety. It was one of those seasons where everything felt heavy. Then we discovered red light therapy through Jonathan Otto at myredlight.com, and it's shown us how this technology helps people regain their edge. Use NNN25 for 25% off individual items or NNN30 for 30% off bundles. It's making a real difference for families who refuse to stay sidelines like ours. Now back to the story of deep state exposure and why this moment demands we stay strong and vigilant. So the latest video Trump amplified goes even further, with whistleblowers ready to name names on how Obama officials manufactured the entire Russian narrative. CIA Director John Brennan, FBI Director Comey ran operations that included unmasking Trump associates and enlisting foreign spies. This was not routine oversight. It was a deliberate campaign to steal an election's legitimacy. And the pieces are now finally falling into place. President Trump posted this bombshell overnight. Hussein is clearly implicated in the attempted coup, a bid to sabotage Trump in 2016. DNI Tulsi Gabbard exposed it all. Hussein and his deep staters must face full accountability. President Trump quote tweeting cat turd who simply said, "Arrest the Obama traitor," and this video was attached.
Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard releasing a bombshell report today that shows a conspiracy by a sitting president, Barack Obama, and his intel agencies to sabotage the president-elect, Donald Trump, brainwash the electorate, and undermine the legitimacy of an election.
There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true. It wasn't.
Gabbard got her hands on a House intel report that's been locked away in a CIA vault for almost a decade. Investigators spent over 2,000 hours looking into how the Russia hoax was born, interviewing 20 CIA and FBI officials. And it turns out that the Obama administration doctored the intelligence to make it look like Putin and Trump stole the election. A month after Trump beat Hillary, Barack Obama wasn't satisfied with his intelligence reporting and ordered his CIA director to create a new assessment of how Russia interfered with the election. This was a highly unusual move. John Brennan handpicked 5 CIA analysts to write the assessment, and they were siloed. None of them knew what the other was doing. And only one analyst was in charge of drafting this report. There was nothing routine about this, and it was a rush job to publish before Trump was sworn in. Nothing was coordinated with the other intelligence agencies either. Basically, this was home cooking for Barack Obama. There were 4 key elements from the assessment that were repeated over and over again. and formed the basis of the Russia hoax and the Robert Mueller witch hunt. 1, that Vladimir Putin wanted Donald Trump to win. 2, Putin took action to help Trump win. 3, the Russians had blackmail on Trump. That was the Steele dossier. And 4, that the Russians tried colluding with the Trump campaign. None of any of this was ever true. There was no reliable intelligence to support any of these allegations. Senior CIA officials repeatedly refused to traffic in these allegations. But they were.
So that's just part of the video President Trump posting, clearly telegraphing the treason. Gabbard laying out exactly how Obama cooked the Russia assessment. Trump's latest post goes further, showing how Brennan pulled the Five Eyes to spy on the campaign itself. President Trump posting on Truth Social, bigger than Watergate, straight-up sedition against the United States. While Barack Obama commissioned the intelligence community to falsify intelligence, the CIA initiated the single largest spying operation on American soil in U.S. history, instructing the Five Eyes Intelligence Alliance of Canada, Australia, the UK, and New Zealand to spy on Trump in the 2016 presidential campaign. This is what President Trump also posted on a tear.
Hoax by asking foreign intelligence agencies to illegally spy on the Trump campaign.
Lucas Tomlinson in Washington with more. Lucas.
Good early morning, Carly and Todd. This report from Substack, citing multiple unnamed sources, claims the U.S. intelligence community asked foreign spy agencies to help spy on more than 24 associates of Donald Trump in the run-up to the 2016 election. It reads in part, quote, President Barack Obama's CIA director, John Brennan, had identified 26 Trump associates for the Five Eyes to target. A source confirmed that the IC had identified them as people to bump or make contact with or manipulate. They were targets of our own IC and law enforcement, targets for collection and misinformation. Now, the Five Eyes nations are the U.S., UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Here's one of the reporters, Michael Schellenberger, who spoke to Jesse Waters last night.
If this binder contains what we have been told that it contains, which may include raw intelligence, information showing that the U.S. government, the CIA and the intelligence community of the U.S. government, initiated the Russia collusion hoax, that it did not occur in the way that the official story, including the Durham investigation, had portrayed it, then that's extremely serious information.
The report was released at the same time House conservatives are preparing a bill that would reauthorize Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act that allows the government to collect communications from foreigners abroad. And today,
so that's another post from the President of the United States exposing the Five Eyes operation and how far the spying reached. Now, legal experts are breaking down whether Obama can actually be charged despite claims of presidential immunity. President Trump also posting this about Obama. Fact right here, Obama is the most demonic force in American politics in decades. President Trump posting this clip.
Tell me if I have my legal bearings correct here. The president has immunity for his actions while president, not afterwards or not before, but while president. Somebody like Joe Biden does not have immunity, and he was involved in this. Somebody like Hillary Clinton, of course, does not have immunity. She was never president, never will be. So you could see potentially some very big names brought down in this. Is that correct, Mike?
Yes. And presidential immunity applies to your official acts. If you investigate Barack Obama, he can litigate whether it is an official act for him to set loose the Democrat National Committee, the Steele dossier, to work with his Justice Department, with his FBI, with the CIA, to orchestrate the biggest scandal in American history, to use your law enforcement and intel agencies to help a presidential candidate of Hillary Clinton and hurt a presidential campaign of Donald Trump. And that's exactly what they did. Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, James Comey, Clapper, Brennan. There were so many bad actors in this. And the lawfare against President Trump to take him out afterwards with the prosecutions, 4 prosecutions for non-crimes, trying to bankrupt Trump for non-fraud several times, trying to take him off the ballot unconstitutionally in several states, trying to take off his head by underfunding his Secret Service protection, and Biden saying Trump was a fascist and the gravest threat to democracy and to put a bullseye on. These lawfare Democrats must be held accountable so this never happens again. If they're not held accountable, it's going to be very ugly the next time they're back in the White House and they run the Justice Department and the CIA.
So hold on.
So President Trump posting this accountability for the coup plotter in focus. Trump now turning to Michelle Obama, posting footage that shows her complaining about life in the White House. President Trump exposing Michelle Obama in this post. Look at this. Unbelievable. Watch this.
There are certainly sacrifices that come along with this life.
Our kids are little. We're going to have to move.
There are also...
This is a great video. This shows you the contrast between the perpetual victims that the left are, where they see oppression in everything. You'll see it here, the way Michelle Obama lives one of the most privileged lives you can imagine. And watch the way she looks at it.
So a lot of good things.
It's expensive to live in the White House.
What a blessing it is to be here.
There were moments when I didn't feel like I got enough attention.
We live in this beautiful, very protected mansion that the American people have gifted us.
Many people don't know. I mean, much is not covered.
Most of our meals are prepared for us, so we don't have to worry as much about cooking.
You're paying for every food, every bit of food that you eat.
There are a lot of things that in some ways make having a baby easier.
How do you raise kids in the White House? It's dangerous.
You don't have to worry about TSA lines when you're the vice president. Air Force 2 makes transportation pretty easy.
We had to pay for their travel to be on the plane.
My attitude towards kids,
they're a hassle.
What the hell have we gotten ourselves into? No more kids.
They mess you up.
Then we had a second, then we had a third, and now both of us are just like, what's one more?
Whatever.
Says a lot, doesn't it?
Certainly does say a lot, doesn't it? President Trump highlighting that moment as well. And then we have this. President Trump follows it with a whistleblower footage confirming how Brennan and the rest manufactured the collusion narrative to sabotage him. So President Trump just going balls to the wall on Truth Social with post after post implicating Barack Obama.
Good morning, or good afternoon, everyone. I recently confirmed that on numerous occasions, the intelligence community incidentally collected information about U.S. citizens involved in the Trump transition. Details about U.S. persons associated with the incoming administration, details with little or no apparent foreign intelligence value, were widely disseminated in intelligence community reporting. Third, I have confirmed that additional names of Trump transition team members were unmasked. And fourth and finally, I want to be clear, none of this surveillance was related to Russia or the investigation of Russian activities or of the Trump team. The House Intelligence Committee will thoroughly investigate surveillance and its subsequent dissemination to determine a few things here that I want to read off. Who was aware of it, why it was not disclosed to Congress, who requested and authorized the additional unmasking, whether anyone directed the intelligence community to focus on Trump associates, and whether any laws, regulations, or procedures were violated. I've asked the directors of FBI, NSA, and CIA to expeditiously comply with my March 15th letter that you all received a couple weeks ago, and to provide a full account of these surveillance activities. I informed Speaker Ryan this morning of this new information, and I will be going to the White House this afternoon to share what I know with the President and his team. Before I get to questions, I want to say that, as you know, there's just been what appears to be a terrorist attack in the United Kingdom. Obviously very concerned, and our thoughts and prayers go out to our strong friends and allies over across the pond. I have seen intelligence reports that clearly show that the president-elect and his team were, I guess, at least monitored and disseminated out in intelligence and what appears to be raw, or I shouldn't say raw, but intelligence reporting channels.
So President Trump making it abundantly clear, telegraphing exactly what's coming next. And this means the greatest political scandal in modern history reaches directly into the Oval Office during the previous administration. Obama himself authorized the false intelligence that brainwashed voters and justified years of lawfare against Trump. With presidential immunity only covering official acts while in office, investigators can now ask whether directing the CIA and FBI to sabotage a rival counts as protected duty. The answer could bring down the entire network from Brennan to Comey and beyond. America deserves that reckoning. So the bottom line is clear. President Trump is turning the tables on the very forces that tried to destroy him and our republic. This exposure is a massive win for every patriot who refused to accept the Russia hoax. So share this broadcast with everyone you know and comment below yes or no on whether Obama should be the first to face charges. And text raw feed to 844-840-4963 like hundreds of other patriots have done before you. They're bypassing the algorithm. They're getting direct updates to their phone from me when it matters most. Make sure you check out the Next News merch shelf below this video for the latest gear that's draining the swamp. You and I will do it together. The truth is finally winning. Stay strong, America.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now. You know out.